And welcome everyone! It's your boy Zero, and I'm back with another unboxing mini. Now those of you who know me, you know that I'm a PlayStation guy. I've had a PlayStation ever since the first console, and I'm very nostalgic for it. Thankfully, for the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation brand, Sony came out with a slew of PS1 themed accessories and consoles. Now, even though the PS1 themed 30th anniversary PS5 console looks fantastic and I would love to have one, I already have a PS5 right here behind me, and I gave it these awesome retro dark plates that are transparent orange. I love them. But I did go ahead and pre-order and get the 30th anniversary Dualsense controller. This thing looks fantastic. I just got it today, and I can't wait to unbox it. So let me stop talking and let's start unboxing. And we're in unboxing mode, so let's get into it. Here is the box. For anyone who knows anything about the PlayStation history and how their boxes used to look back in the day, back in the mid to late 90s, this is pretty much it. This is exactly how it would look like. A nice gray to black background, and then the item right there. The old school PlayStation font right here, front and center. Limited edition Dualsense wireless controller. I just adore it. The current PS5 controller, the Dualsense, it's just all black and white. There are some colors, obviously, but I'm not a big fan of them. If we look over here to the side, we can see, obviously, the colored PlayStation logo and some information over here. Compatible with the PS5, obviously, I would hope so. And then the back, it just says heighten your senses, and it has another shot of the Dualsense. So not too much to the box, it's pretty straightforward. So let me go ahead and grab something to cut this open. All right, scissors are here. They have been procured. Let's go ahead and just, let's attack it from this angle. And that did it. Okay, box is broken, but it's open, which is the important part. Let's pull that out. Ooh, this feels like old school cardboard, actually. What the hell? Ooh, okay, so this was just a separate piece. Nothing important. But if we take out the box within the box... Okay, now this is pretty cool. Let me make sure this is visible in the camera. If you look inside the box, for some reason Sony decided to go ahead and print it with a bunch of the different accessories and controllers and consoles as well that they've created throughout the years. I mean, here you can see the PSVR 2 controllers, the PS1 console, the PSP, the Dualshock 4, the Dualsense, the PS1 Slim, PS4 Pro, PS2, the PlayStation Portal, the PS3 but from the side, the headsets that they created, everything's here. Even the mouse that they created for the PS1 is here. That's fantastic. A major throwback, and I love how this looks. It kind of makes me not want to throw this out, but I gotta do this. So, now over here we can see the triangle, circle, X, and square. However, right after the triangle, they put the letter 3, the number 3, right in front of the circle to make the number 30, obviously, because it's 30 years of PlayStation. It'll be 30 years of PlayStation actually on December 3rd, because that's when the PS1 was released in Japan in 1994. So yeah, it has indeed been 30 years. Here's the 30th anniversary logo right here on this box. I'm loving how this looks. So let me just go ahead and flap it open. Okay. Here we have the Dualsense in its own little gray baggie. Very nice. And some paperwork describing what the controller is and how not to use it. We don't need that. We unfortunately did not get anything else in this box. There's nothing more. I was kind of hoping we would get like that PS1 cable that they showed off in that one video. But I do like this box. This one I'm definitely not going to throw away. I'll likely store this controller in it for a while until I start using it regularly. So this goes to the side. So let's go ahead. Paperwork also goes to the side because we don't need that. If you don't know how to use a Dualsense, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. And this is now in view, so let's open up the baggie. Oh, man. I love it. I love this thing. I love this thing. Oh my God. So a lot of you either know how I'm feeling or just don't get it because it's just another controller. But again, the nostalgia is palpable. Like you can taste it at this point. Again, as a kid, I got my PS1 and it was sort of a surprise, yet also not surprise. I had just gotten back from a birthday party. My dad's in the living room with the biggest grin on his face playing a 3D hockey game. And I just see this weird controller with the same colors and the logo and everything. And I'm just like, what is this console? So again, this brings back a lot of those memories. As a matter of fact, I do have the older controllers. So let's go ahead and bring them out and compare them. Now this one specifically is from the PS1 Classic. You can tell because it has the USB port connection. My actual PS1 original controller is with our friend Sean because he's working on fixing that thing, but the size and build is exactly the same. This is exactly how the controller looked back in the day. So as you can see, a very similar gray. All right. The D-pad always had the same design. They keep it here, but they gave it a clear plastic. I love it. And they actually colored the buttons to make it look exactly how it did back in the day. So of course, green triangle, red circle, blue X, and the pink square. I love how it looks. Now, the shoulder and trigger buttons have a very similar color as well to the original controller, as you can see here. Now a lot of you are thinking, well, what happened to the select and start button? Well, that got removed ever since the PS4. It would have been nice if they had colored these a similar black to the select and start, or at least made them the same shape, but that probably would have cost Sony a little bit more money. That's probably why they didn't do it. The middle being black probably would have been a nice, the touchpad being black probably would have been a nice touch as well. Now, this is the original 2D controller. I say it's 2D, but it's actually, they used it for 3D as well. But now let's look at a DualShock 1. Now, a lot of you are probably looking at this DualShock 1 and thinking, what the hell happened to it? And my cousin cut the cord. Not because she was angry, but she thought the controller wasn't working anymore. Oh well. It's still the DualShock 1. It has it written somewhere here, I think so. And it either got rubbed off or I can't see it. But this is how the DualShock 1 looked. This was the technically third design of the PlayStation controller, where they added rumble and analog sticks. It even has an analog button here to turn on the analog controls. As you can see, this is actually a much more lighter black than the actual analog sticks from the DualShock 1. It's still a very similar color, can't lie, still like it. Controllers and everything else still similar to the previous controller. Now, this isn't the first time that Sony released a anniversary edition of the PlayStation controller, because Sony actually did it with the DualShock 4. So let me take a quick break and grab that controller. And here it is. Here's the DualShock 4 20th anniversary controller. Now here they are for comparison. Now obviously we saw it before. The black on the buttons and the analog sticks, and of course the middle, don't really match the blacks that were on the DualShock 1. Let me actually grab that real quick. I really got to remember to keep these around. I don't really have a lot of space on my desk. Anyway, so here's the DualShock 1. Let me keep this in the frame, as a matter of fact, for further comparison. As you can see, even for the 20th anniversary controller, the blacks don't necessarily match the original DualShock 1. Same here with the triggers and the shoulder buttons. They don't really match the DualShock 1, unfortunately. It's still a great looking color because the gray at least matches. As a matter of fact, this matches even better than the Dualsense 30th anniversary controller, as you guys can see here. Still a very good controller. This is my primary controller for my PS4 Pro. This is what I use whenever I play with it. This thing has a lot of history to it. It has a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. This thing has been loved to death. It still works it still works. No issues, no drift, thankfully. Let me put this to the side, right next to the PS1 controller. Now, obviously, I may or may not start using this Dualsense. I might actually use it as my secondary, if not my primary. However, I'm not done comparing this controller because if you guys are fans of this channel, you'll know that I've bought quite a few controllers. And now I want to compare it to the Retro Fighters Defender controller. And here we go, here it is. So, this is the controller I use in my PlayStation Classic. It's a wireless controller that works on the PS1, 2, the 3, the PlayStation Classic, the Switch, and also on PC. It's a very versatile controller, but as you can see, also themed around the PS1 Dualshock 1. The grays, once again, are very similar gray to the PS1 controller. However, the blacks do not match the lighter blacks of the Dualshock 1. The colors on the buttons actually match it pretty well, I can't lie. They had to go with a different design so that they wouldn't get sued by Sony. But now let's compare it to the Dualsense. As you can see, this is a much closer gray to the PS1. This one, it feels like it has a little bit more blue into it, the Dualsense. These grays, this gray black matches a little bit closer to this. And of course the D-pad is not the same. It just doesn't look the same, unfortunately. But yeah, that's just another controller to compare it to. And now we're gonna make one final comparison. Let me go grab it. Now let's compare it to the actual original Dualsense. I also just looked at my camera and I realized that these were not really in shot, so let me move them down. So yeah, here's the original Dualsense. This is my primary Dualsense. This is what I use on my PS5. That same one behind me right here, if you guys can see it, if I didn't crop it out. Yep, it's a pretty simple controller. It's white and black, very clean. However, I hated the fact that the buttons are now just gray and white. Same thing over here. I hated it. I like color in my stuff. Again, that's why I switched the plates on my PS5. So getting a Dualsense controller with the original colors on the buttons and the PS button having color on it as well, the original colors, as opposed to the just straight glossy black on the original Dualsense, this gives me a lot of joy. I mean, oh man. Now, I already love the Dualsense. The Dualsense is an extremely comfortable controller. It fits perfectly in my hands. The buttons, they're just clicky enough to be super useful and just very comfortable. The triggers, especially the adaptive triggers, I love these. Adaptive triggers are the best. Everything just feels fine, just like on the Dualsense. No complaints here when it comes to build quality. And I gotta be honest, I just love nostalgic stuff. Let's actually turn this around because you guys saw the front of it a lot. But look at the back. PlayStation 30th anniversary printed on the back. I don't even think they did that on the DualShock 4? Nah, they didn't. Not at all. But yeah, I love this thing. And I was actually kind of scared because I missed the initial pre-order window on PlayStation Direct. And then about a day later, GameStop was saying, hey, sign up for Pro and you can pre-order it online. We're releasing 100 every hour. And I couldn't do it, so I ran over to my local GameStop, begged them for a pre-order, and thankfully they were able to pull through for me. There was a lot of discussion that GameStop was only going to get 2 per store. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. I am so ecstatic that I have this thing in my collection. I'm contemplating using this thing as my primary controller. Like, it really seems like PlayStation's really giving this thing like a lot of attention. It's getting a lot of praise, especially from fans like me. Yeah, Sony really put their all when it came to like making this 30th anniversary stuff. I'd love to have a console, but I don't have the space for it. My PS5 is working just fine, and I love those orange plates. One more thing I forgot to check. So as a lot of you probably already know, on the original Dualsense, if you zoom in closely, which I won't be able to do with this camera, unfortunately, you can see here that the actual grip texture is just the triangle, circle, X, square pattern, just printed all over the handles of the controller. If we look closely at the Dualsense 30th Anniversary Edition, it's going to be very difficult to see. But as I look closer, I can see that right next to the circle is a number 3. So even the grip texture is different on this controller because it has a triangle, 3, 0, X and square pattern for the 30th anniversary. A very amazing, beautiful touch, and it's a beautiful controller. And once again, I'm just really happy to have it in my collection. Unfortunately, they never did anything for the 10th anniversary of the PlayStation. The DualShock 4 didn't get, sorry, not the DualShock 4, the DualShock 2 or the DualShock 3 or even the 6-axis never got a original PlayStation coloring like they did with the DualShock 4 and the DualSense. I would have loved it. I probably would have never been able to get my hands on it because at that point in time I was a teenager and did not have my own money. But I still would have liked to have something like that in my collection. But anyways, that's going to do it for this unboxing, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a very, very fun walk through memory lane, especially grabbing these older controllers and my Retro Fighters Defender. I love these controllers, but let me know down in the comments below, did you like this video? If you did, slap the like button, mash the subscribe button. Let me know, did you grab yourself a 30th anniversary Dualsense? Did you grab yourself one of the consoles? Did you get the Dualsense Edge? I actually thought about getting it, and then I saw the price and I said no. But anyways, thanks once again everybody for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.